what is Git, and can someone explain Git in a simple language? I'm looking for much of a simpler definition. Like the way we are running all these sessions, we first want to understand something really basic and then goes into all these technical terms. So Git in the simplest of terms, how do you understand Git? Yes, it's file tracking collaboration tool. What else can you think of Git? I mean, okay, I will wait for a few more reply. It's a tree data structure. Yeah, I mean, you guys are going the right direction, but okay. First of all, the way I think of Git is like it's a kind of a shared folder, right? You have multiple developers in your team, multiple people who are working in your team, and they want to share stuff, right? And that's why we have a Git, which act like a share folder, where everyone can. So let's forget about Git. Let's say you have one server where your administrator created this shared folder, and you all of us putting a file over there. Okay, that is the simplest definition. But Git provides some additional features. And that's where we will come up with what you guys are saying. It's a distributed version control system. It's a version control system, all those features. So first thing is it provides all the other feature, but in Git terminology, the folders are called repository. We will see all these things like what exactly a repository is. But now came to the elephant in the room. It's a version control system, or called VCS. My first question to you guys, do you aware of any other version control system except Git? So Git is one version control system. What are the other version control system you guys have worked on? And other VCS? And what do you mean by the version control system? Yeah, Perforce is one of them. SVN, exactly. Guys might heard about CVS, Mercurial. They all are like version control system, right? Now, the next question is, what do you guys think of version control system? What is the use of version control system? I mean, it's there in the name. It's version control system. Keep tracks of each version of files in the repository. I mean, just forget about Git. If you look about the popular data store right now, is S3, right? Even in case of this AWS S3 or simple storage system, you have the option to enable versioning, right? So what versioning will do is that it keeps tracks of all the file. So let's say if I checked in any revision, and we are going to discuss about in depth what are all those revision and how these are created. For each and every file, I'm taking it really simple. Let's say you checked in the first version of file, it will get a revision 1. Then you checked in the second version of file, it will get a revision 2, and so on and so forth. The advantage of that is like in case of this shared folder kind of environment, I'm just taking the simple term. If something goes bad, you can go back to the previous revision, and that is it's called a version, because for each and everything you have the versioning and you have a control that you can go back to the previous version. And the second advantage is that if you have, like, for example, the user 1, user 2, so you are not stepping into each other foot, right? You are checking your own file. So for example, this user 1 is checking the file 1, user 2 is checking the file 2. Okay, there is something called conflict, which we are going to discuss in today's session. But basically, it is providing you this revision as well as this versioning. I mean, these are some of the features, not only with Git, but with any other version control system. Okay, and then Git provide one of the feature called branch, which we are going to see in depth. And some of you said that you worked on this SVN, and we are going to discuss in depth. In case of SVN, the creation of branch is like a really expensive operation. But in Git, it's just a pointer reference to a particular commit. So in a case of a Git, this branch creation is a really cheap operation or really simple operation. So I mean, again, in the simplest term, it is just think like of a share folder, which we call a repository, with bunch of these additional features. And it's a version control, uh, so that it keep track of your revision. And in case if something goes bad, you will go back to the previous revision. And it give you a shared environment where multiple user can work on that. I gave you an example of one AWS S3. Okay, and if some of you worked on system manager in AWS, there's something called parameter store where you can store the secret. Even that support versioning nowadays, where you can go back to the previous version to see what you stored in that parameter. Not parameter store. So all the new uh, tools and utilities which are coming, they are coming up with this kind of a version control kind of a system. Even the simple example with that is like, even in this Google Sheet, you have the option of this version that you can go back to the previous version. So I'm just throwing you some example. Uh, Git provide a feature called branch. Branch, in the simplest term, is say the independent line of work. We are going to discuss in depth all those things. So let's say you have one master or a main branch, and then you want to work on some feature. So you will create a separate branch to work on that feature. And once you are done with your work, you are going to merge that into a master or the main branch.